good to go.
Thank you. Danielle. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners for March 8th, 2022. At this time, if you would please stand for the prayer and the pledge. Ms. Willan.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to once again come just together to take care of county business. I pray that your hand would be on each commissioner today and each member of the public that's present, and that we would use wisdom in all of our decisions. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Congratulations to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Willan?
Yes, sir. Before I go over the changes, I did just want to tell the audience that there will be several people vacating in the first part of the agenda, so not everyone will have to stand for very long. We do have several additions to the agenda. Under section 1, we have, it should actually be number 7, request board ratification of resolution 2207. Number 8, request board adoption of proclamation. Number 9, request board adoption of resolution amending district lines. And then under section 2, number 19, request board approval to pay Baker Donaldson. And 1 deletion under section 2, number 5 will be deleted.
For a motion that the agenda be approved with the additions and deletions spelled out by Ms. Daniels.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Number 1. Ms. Willan?
Yeah, we're going to honor Miss Irene Bowles this morning, and if you all would like to stay seated while we read the proclamation, if she is able to come up for a photo, that would be nice.
We have to ratify the resolution first. They're numbered. If you take her first, then 2207 will be out of order. So we need to ratify that first. That's why it was listed.
Okay, I think that could have been, okay. Please ratify the resolution for the burn ban. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Donifro to ratify the burn ban. Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. So we're still
Okay.
under a burn ban. Hopefully we'll get that taken care of this evening and tomorrow.
Yeah, and Chief Renner can speak to that before we conclude today. So if Ms. Bowles is able to come up, she can. If not, they will come out to you to take a photo. So the proclamation 2207 is whereas Irene J. Bowles celebrated her recent 100th birthday on February 19th, 2022. And whereas Irene J. Bowles was born in Jackson County, Florida on February 19th, 1922. And whereas Irene J. Bowles was happily married to Ben Bowles Sr. for 54 years until Ben's death in 1994. And whereas Irene J. Bowles and Ben Bowles Sr. were blessed with 10 children, 22 grandchildren, and 29 great-grandchildren, and 5 great-great-grandchildren. And whereas Irene J. Bowles worked as a custodian for Southern Bell Telephone Company and also worked as a maid to several families in Jackson County. And whereas Irene J. Bowles has lived during the most eventful century of this nation's history and has been a model and inspiration to her family and to those who have known her. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners and citizens of Jackson County offer sincere congratulations and best wishes to Mrs. Bowles for many more happy days in the future to share with family and friends, in witness whereof this 8th day of March in the year of our Lord 2022. So
I make a motion when you set the resolution.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Let's go out. Can Ms. Bowles come forward? If not, we can come back there. We'd like to get a photo with her. Come up here. Let me present you with this, okay? You turn around and look at your daughter so we can get a picture. Thank you. Congratulations. This young lady straight, okay? Now, when you done for Jackson County, and when you get that other 100, come back and see us, okay? Judy Austin. You do not look like Judy.
I will be reading the proclamation for the Employee of the Month. Whereas Jackson County, do we need to do?
No, go ahead.
Whereas Jackson County has established an Employee of the Month program to recognize one employee to represent the various departments. And whereas Robert Bobby Cook began his employment with Jackson County on June 18, 1990, and currently serves in the position of Equipment Operator 4 for the Public Transportation Department, and has been selected as Employee of the Month for March 2022 for the standards that he has displayed in the performance of his job duties. And whereas Mr. Cook is an exemplary employee who demonstrates professionalism in every task he faces, his loyalty and commitment to Jackson County are noticed and admired by his coworkers. And whereas Mr. Cook is a dedicated employee that handles issues that arise in a timely and efficient manner, he always goes above and beyond his everyday duties to assist the public and coworkers. He comes to work with a can-do attitude and is always willing to handle any task that is presented to him. Mr. Cook has over 30 years of service with the county, and throughout the years has proven himself to be a valuable asset to the Public Transportation Department. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Jackson County, Florida commend and congratulate Mr. Robert Cook on his selection as Employee of the Month for May 2022.
Bobby, thank you for all your hard work. You do a great job grading those roads. I don't have any complaints from people out in Bobby's area. I hate to do this, but I'm gonna give you a check for $50 once the board approves it, you can spend it. And I think we're gonna give you a day off.
And you hate that more.
Here's the stipulation, are you getting this? You don't get to take that day off, okay? No, thank you, Bobby. You're a great employee, does a good job. We appreciate all of you. Thank you, sir.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Pate.
I move to accept the nomination for Mr. Robert Cook as Employee of the Month for March 2022. Authorize the incentive of $50 check and a extra day off for work that he can't take. Adopt the proclamation and authorize the chairman to sign.
Got a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Ms. Wendy?
Thank you, Commissioner. This morning, I'm requesting board approval of a proclamation to establish the week of March 7th through the 13th of 2022 as Flood Awareness Week in Jackson County. As participants in the National Flood Insurance Program, we may provide residents with the opportunity to obtain flood insurance premiums at a reduced rate. Public education and awareness of potential weather hazards and methods of protection are critical to the health and safety and welfare of the residents.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Donifro. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Wendy.
Thank you.
Okay. Hubbard.
Good
Morning.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I have a presentation. I believe it's going to be popping up here momentarily. While that's loading, here we go. I am Sherry Hubbard. I'm the Director of Communications for Second Harvest Food Bank. Excuse me, and though I do live in Tallahassee now, I would like it noted that I am a Sneeds High graduate. Go Pirates. So with that, we'll get started. We can advance, please. Okay, so for those of you who are not aware, Second Harvest of the Big Bend Food Bank serves 11 counties in the Big Bend, including Jackson County. This year is our 40th anniversary, so we've been around a long time. We can go ahead and advance, please. A little bit about our history. I think I've covered most of this. Our warehouse is in Leon County in Tallahassee. It's a huge facility, and it functions as sort of a hub and spoke. So we are the food bank. That is where the food is collected, but we work and collaborate with partners throughout our 11 county service area to actually distribute the food in the communities, including here in Jackson County. Let's go ahead and advance, please. We are a member of Feeding America, which is the largest hunger relief organization in the country. There are 12 Feeding America food banks in Florida. 3 of us are charged with disaster response, which Second Harvest is one of those. So y'all saw a lot of us after Hurricane Michael. We'll go ahead and advance. And that is just a close-up of our service area. Let's go ahead and advance, please. Okay, so what I wanted to really make you aware of today is, as you can see, last year we distributed almost 14 million pounds of food, just about 1 million here in Jackson County. And the way that we do that is through collaborations with what we call partner agencies. And those are organizations that partner with us to receive our food and distribute it. A lot of them are churches. I'm going to show you that in a moment. Through mobile pantries where we load up our truck, we come into the community, we announce it in advance and advertise it. And a lot of those distributions were drive-throughs during COVID. And then through specific programs that are targeting our most vulnerable populations, children, seniors, homeless, etc. Let's go ahead and advance, please. So I'm sure these statistics are not a surprise to you. We know that there is a high degree of food insecurity, especially in our rural areas. It doesn't tell the full picture though, because we know that in rural areas that we serve, it's more difficult for many people they're further away from their food sources, from the grocery stores. Often there are transportation issues, and people are more likely to be underemployed, just barely making ends meet, but they make too much to qualify for federal programs, but they're still struggling and they don't have a lot of resources. So that first unexpected expense that comes along, they're struggling. Let's go ahead and advance, please. So partner agencies, we're currently working with 11 partner agencies here in Jackson County, and this is the list. You can see they all have food pantries that we provide the food to them for distribution. Let's go ahead and advance, please. Now, when folks go to our website, well, first of all, I just want to point out, we have all those little orange dots are where our agencies are. So we have pretty good saturation in the county, but there is room for improvement there to make sure we have good coverage. Let's go ahead and advance. When people go to our website, we try to make it as easy as possible for them to find the nearest pantry to them. And they can either search by putting in their address, and then the pantry locations will come up, or let's go ahead and advance, please. They can just put in their county. And when you put in Jackson County, all of our partner agencies come up with all the information that people need to know where to go and when to go. So they'll show their distribution dates and times so that people know when they can get food. Let's go ahead and advance, please. So in addition to that, mobile pantries and working with those 11 partner agencies, we also have programs going on in Jackson County. Currently, we collaborate with 14 schools in Jackson County to provide backpacks to school children. Those go home with them on Friday, so they have enough food to sustain them over the weekend, come to school on Monday, and be able to learn, be able to focus. How many people have heard of backpack programs? Okay, excellent. Let's go ahead, please. Mobile pantries, we're conducting about 2 to 3 of those each month. You can see last month we were in Campbellton, Jacob City, and Sneads. This month we're in Grand Ridge, Mariana, and Campbellton. That schedule also is on the front page of our website, fightinghunger.org, so that we make it easy for people to find it. Let's keep advancing. Okay, so some additional opportunities. We're working with Jackson County School District right now to expand programs that we have that are already in place here. The school pantries. A school pantry is different from the backpack program in that it's an on-site pantry, so families come in and get food for the entire family, not just a backpack sent home with kids on the weekend. Summer Break Spot is a program through FDACS, an after-school meal program. So as I said, we're working with Jackson County School District to expand those programs in 2022. We can advance. So additional opportunities in Jackson County, family nutrition programs. We would love to find, if you are aware of more people who might like to partner with us and be a pantry site. They're often churches, but they don't have to be a church. We have anyone who has a facility on site that can serve as a pantry is welcome to contact us to reach out, and we would love to work with them and walk them through the process. So in addition to that, targeting high-risk homeless population, we're looking at residential facilities, children's homes, rehab facilities. We want to reach as many of those most vulnerable folks as possible. So we would love to partner with anyone who might be interested in us. Our newest outreach program are grocery lockers. These are Bell and Howell grocery lockers. They're refrigerated, and we place the food inside. People get a code. And so this works for the community because they can come at their convenience when they can get transportation. They don't have to worry about going to a distribution at a specific time. And we're just installing our first one of these in April in Leon County, and we look forward to expanding this program as well. We can move forward. And then we have programs that benefit seniors, senior nutrition programs. Our senior grocery program helps seniors by getting them food at the end of the month when their resources are exhausted. We could certainly do some expansion of that. So our partnership, Sam Daniels is our programs manager. She would be the one to reach out to if you know of someone who might make a good partnership opportunity. We are actively looking to increase our distributions here in Jackson County, and we are interested in talking to anyone. And we also we're working with the local media to make sure that our distributions are advertised so that everyone knows where they can go and get nutritious food that is free to them, and to help the food insecure in Jackson County just to be aware of all the opportunities there are for them to get access to food. And I hope I've met my time. I'm going to leave some cards. If any of you have follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out. I know you have a tight agenda today, so I'm going to step down, but where should I?
Give them to Ms. Daniels. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate the information. It's very helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you.
With the consensus of the board, I would like to change the agenda just slightly. I'd like to bring up Trooper Cox. Come up, please. Ms. Willan.
Yes, sir. So hate to make you stand there for just a minute, but I'm going to read something, a proclamation for Trooper Cox, and then the chairman will come down with you. So whereas enduring long shifts in dangerous and unpredictable circumstances, our law enforcement officers demonstrate remarkable self-control and operate under extreme pressure with professionalism. They deal with complex, challenging situations and see the worst elements of humanity every day. And whereas Jackson County recognizes that in moments of danger, the first persons we as citizens turn to are law enforcement officers that bravely answer the call to protect our community with courage and honor, those who risk their lives so that we can live our lives in peace. And whereas on March 5th, 2022, Trooper David Shack Cox received the highest honor of the Florida Highway Patrol as Trooper of the Year for his involvement in an armed robbery and child abduction that originated in Bay County, Florida on January 3rd, 2021. And whereas the quick thinking of Trooper Cox allowed for the speedy arrest of the two individuals suspected in the armed robbery and abduction of a 5-month-old infant. The suspects were apprehended without incident, and the child was safely returned to her mother. Whereas we owe dutiful respect and humble gratitude to Trooper Cox for his dedication to his profession and his commitment to serve the citizens of Jackson County and beyond. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Jackson County, Florida, commends and congratulates Trooper David Shack Cox for his bravery and service as law enforcement officer with the Florida Highway Patrol.
We appreciate all you do for Jackson County. I know you have other counties to work, but we definitely appreciate everything, and thank you for that particular case. I've heard a lot about you. I don't know you personally, but everybody tells you do an outstanding job, and we all depend on you troopers. So we're up and down the interstate, up and down our roads. We always know that you're out there doing the job day and night, making them safe for us. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you. Congratulations.
Trevor, before you leave, I'd like to say something. I've been to many a wreck with you on the scene, and I can honestly say that brown outfit really does good, but he wears so many colors when you get there. You're really professional, first and foremost, and you're very hands-on as far as your handle situation, calm people down. I truly appreciate that from that standpoint, and congratulations to you again.
Appreciate it. Watching, he speaks.
I do. I ain't gonna lie. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations. Okay,
They all know this. I'll make a motion to accept this resolution.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pate. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. All right, Hunter Potts.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
The first item, only item I have here is adoption of a joint resolution with the city of Marianna in support of the creation of a pilot and maintenance technician program in Jackson County.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner McKinney. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Brett Daniels.
Mr. Chairman, did you want to give General Hart the opportunity to say anything if he wanted to?
Yes. General, come up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm here to speak on behalf of the resolution, and I appreciate very much your support. The city of Marianna has already passed it. We're in the process of preliminary work to try to attract a flight training school to come to Marianna to provide flight training services, economic development, and job opportunities, as well as fulfilling a need which has been highlighted by a recent Boeing aircraft study that shows over the next 20 years, over 600,000 additional pilots will be needed to train for flying passengers in commercial aircraft, as well as an additional 600,000 plus technicians that will be needed to provide maintenance service for those aircraft. So it's an opportunity for us. The Marianna Airport, for those of you who have been around long enough, know that it was originally built, the construction started in March of 1942 to train fighter pilots for World War II. It was deactivated in 1946 and reactivated in 1953 as Graham Air Base to train pilots for the Korean War. I was fortunate, having been born and raised in Marianna, and I lived on that property. My father farmed the 1,200 acres of the 1,700 acres that were used to build that, or the property that the airport was built on. So I am very familiar with it, and I was fortunate to be able to come back in 1958 and 59 and go through Air Force pilot training there. So it has a very sentimental place in my heart, and I would love to see that flight training school, because the facility was built to train pilots, and there's a need for pilots, and we've got the ideal location. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, but I deeply appreciate your support.
Uh,
I think it's important to have this resolution as a tool to help convince prospective pilot training schools that we do have county and city support.
Can you elaborate a little on the educational aspect of this?
Well, the first steps, yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The first step is to interest a pilot training facility to locate here. Florida has the largest number of pilot training schools in the nation. We train more pilots than anyone else. Pilots from around the world come here. It's important to understand that in order to be an airline transport pilot, you have to be fluent in English, fluent and understand English. All air traffic communications worldwide are conducted in English, in the English language. So most of the worldwide demand for pilots is fulfilled through pilot training programs in the United States, where they get to train in English and practice what they will be doing when they become airline transport pilots. And as a result, you have to meet certain federal aviation requirements in order to become an airline transport pilot. You go through a private pilot, commercial pilot, instrument rating, multi-engine rating, then ATP, which is the airline transport pilot rating. You have to have 1,500 hours of flying time as a minimum. That includes dual instruction time as well as solo time. That's a very expensive process, but that can be reduced by 500 hours if you have a college degree and with an emphasis on aviation. It's our hope that once we attract a school, we will then be able to create a cooperative effort with Chipola College, which is ideally situated to provide that academic degree that will go along to help reduce the cost and reduce the number of hours required. So while that step is down the road, the first step is to get the flight school interested, and with a resolution showing support from the city and the county, we'll put that together, and the next step will be to work with, and we're already working with Tiffany at the Chamber of Commerce and Zach Gilmore. I'm sorry, Zach, excuse me. I know you very well. Slip of the mind. But we're working with them right now in order to put together, once we have a resolution and we know what opportunities are available and what incentives we might be able to offer, that'll go out as an RFP to the schools, and we're hopeful that we'll attract one.
Just 1 minute. One of the reasons that I think this is a very good idea is about 3 years ago, I went to Pensacola. There was a group over there that wanted to come to Mariana, and they were transitioning out of rotary wing to fixed wing. And the big reason they wanted to come here is they said they taxi to the end of the runway in Pensacola, and they'd have to wait 30 to 45 minutes. And how much does it cost an hour for a flight instructor?
Well, on an average, it's about $200 an hour. So
you're wasting $100 on the end of the runway. Economically, this is a great place to be. Go ahead.
I was going to just remind General Hart that I guess about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, Commissioner Hill, myself, General Hart, Jim Dean, and several of us traveled to Pueblo, Colorado, to look at a flight training facility out there. And I want to commend both the city and General Hart in taking this first step, because that was quite an amazing facility and could lead to some significant economic development here if we can bring all this together and get a training program out there. So I commend you and think it's maybe the beginning of something really good out there.
Thank you, Commissioner Donafro.
I would like to also commend you, General, on your efforts, because we definitely need this support, the aviation nation as a whole. I worked for Alabama for the last 22 years, and we, the Department of Defense, we train helicopter pilots.
Yes, sir.
Simulation and all. But just thank you again for your efforts, and just hopefully that we bring
Thank
this
you,
together.
Commissioner McKinney.
Yes, sir.
A part of the reason that I am involved is not only sentimental, because I'd love to see a flight training program at Mariana, because we have an underused facility that is prime. We've got a beautiful terminal building that was rehabilitated a few years ago, a couple of $1 million. Commissioner Donifro did the design work and followed the construction. We've got a brand new 6,000-foot runway. It's been extended from 5,000 to 6,000 feet. And I'm chairman of the Mariana Industrial Airport Board. And so I'm speaking on behalf of the city and on behalf of myself. And I deeply appreciate your passing the resolution.
Well, we also have a cross runway out there that we need to rehabilitate, but that will come later.
I think I'm encouraged to believe that if we are able to get the program as I have outlined it, and I want to remind everyone, this is not something that's going to come quickly. It's probably a 2-year program before it's finally put together. But if we're able to do that, and I'm optimistic, then I think that we'll get adequate funding from the Federal Aviation Administration and the Florida Department of Transportation to rehabilitate the cross runway.
Continue working on this and just let it be known that the board supports it 100%.
Thank you.
We're with you.
Thank you.
We can do
all.
anything to
Thank you,
help,
sir.
let us
Thank you.
know.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Rhett?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
First up I have for you is board approval of utility work agreement and resolution for FDOT. This is going to be a utilities project where they're going to have to replace or reorientate some utilities for a paving project they've got.
And those are our utilities, right?
These are ours, yes, sir.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second.
second by Commissioner Donifro. Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Rhett. We've already ratified the burn ban, so we don't have to worry about that. Michelle,
That's me.
this is me. Go ahead.
So what you have before you is a resolution formally adopting the new district maps, the legal descriptions, and a population distribution table of each district. So this is what we're going to submit to the court.
I got a motion by Commissioner Hill, but I got questions.
You need a second?
Yeah, I got a second by Commissioner Pate.
Okay.
Before this is submitted, I think the board needs to take a look at this map.
You already approved the map. You approved the maps a couple months ago. So the
No
maps-
problem. Is that map drawn precisely the way I think it's drawn?
Well, your legal descriptions are based on that map.
What we need to do, though, is look at the legal description. I know what we thought we were doing. Now, what did you do?
I didn't do anything.
Oh, but you see what I'm saying? There may be a disparity somewhere along the way. And I want to take a quick look at the map and make sure the lines are where we think they are. Lee is here.
I was gonna say,
Can Joe get those pulled up?
Lee is here. Now, he basically drew, you described what was actually on the map as far as the roadways, or in my particular
Oh, y'all
case,
come
Dry
through?
Creek, Chipotle River.
Well, man, you had to zoom, you had to have the capacity to zoom into the foot.
As long as we on the roads that we said, in the section line.
That's the
But
problem.
do you have it?
Yeah, you had,
Legals to the map. So as long as the map is what y'all want, the legals will match that.
That's what we need to make sure. If y'all are comfortable, that's fine.
And the map
But-
has already been approved, correct? Correct.
We approve the map, but is it what we think it is?
oh, we don't have the capacity at some point to prove this, to zoom in, or a citizen to zoom in and be able to see, you know, this, my house is here, this one's theirs.
They're gonna get a new card telling them what precinct.
will. We'll get
Yeah,
a new
just
card.
as soon as this information is
Okay.
approved with the court, it all gets submitted to the state, and then Carol gets on her side what she needs, and
Well, you know, I can speak for myself. I looked at the map relative to my district only. And the map that, you know, as far as my district adequately reflects what I thought I agreed to, what we agreed to as a group. Now, whether Lee's legal description matches that map, I basically have to defer to him and.
They haven't seen that yet.
If you see it, it's gonna be very complex to try
Yeah.
to review
You
that.
don't
Well,
know
that's
what you're looking
essentially
at.
what's
You
in the
get,
packet.
Well, we worked with Joey and Kevin Stanley, and they've kind of gone through the map compared to our legal descriptions to make sure everything matches.
Well,
As
in my
far as
district,
we stand right now, our legals match the maps. As
okay,
far as the map
I'm not
is
questioning,
what y'all.
I'm not questioning that at all. But wait a minute. District 5, go to Inwood Road, El Bethel Church Road.
I bet he said, huh?
You're way off. Come down south,
Be on
to the
edge.
right, go right. All right, come down. That's up. I'm trying to figure out where we're at. When it, from El Bethel Church Road, it goes north. It's following El Bethel, and then it turns back to the east. Where is it turning to the east? You're on the wrong end of the district, whoever's running that.
It's in the southwest corner,
South,
between,
south.
halfway
He
between
was
Grand
going
Ridge and
right,
Sneeds.
he told me.
No, he was
Yeah,
going
red.
wrong. Now,
That's Grand Ridge.
all
Go
right, go to the right,
Go
Go to the
east.
east.
right, drop it down, right there, all right? Where are we?
That's Inwood, El Bethel Church.
El Bethel and Inwood. Where's that line? Is there a road there, or is that a
I
section?
think that's a section line there.
You talking about
That's
the
a road
east-west
right there.
line?
That
Yeah,
road.
where they
East-west,
divide.
yeah.
Right. Yes, McDaniel.
Is
Trail
that
runs off the
Whittington
way.
Road up above?
It is. Yeah, right there.
Right there,
That's Whittington Road.
okay. All right. Drop back down. Come all the way down.
Michelle, what do you need? from
Now
us
go
today?
to the east.
You tell me what you-
adopt this resolution.
Okay, all right. I'll make it, hold on, Jim. I'll make a motion with adopt this resolution.
We already have
You got one.
We have a
Okay,
motion.
oh, I'm sorry. Why don't you just review if you have any problems, we'll subject to the board's review.
Well, now, here's the
Once
thing.
we do this, it's
Keep
gone.
looking at it.
Well,
Well, we've
what you
already
know, what you
approved
know.
it.
But what I want to make sure is that we got what we approved, what we think we approved.
Is
You
this,
have looked at
is
your
this
map and so
I,
on?
Is this
I,
reflect the
not
maps
only
that were
looked at
handed
it, I
out?
drew it. I did,
Here's Matt.
yeah. Go south on, River Road.
Is this map that we're looking at matched the maps that were handed out, the hard copy, the large?
He's done got all. Go over to Sneed's.
Somebody running the purple line. Or whatever color.
All right.
Purple.
So it goes to the state next, correct? Michelle, it goes to the state
No, it
next.
goes to court.
Court, right. Then it goes to the state. And they adopt it based upon, first of all, it's gotta go to the federal court, right?
Yes.
And then the state gets it.
We have
If it ain't right, we can ratify
So
it.
the school board, just like what we're planning to do,
do, which is we're submitting everything jointly. Judge Benson signed all their documents the same day it was submitted, so we're not anticipating any issues on the court side of things.
Does the county school board mirror ours?
No.
All
I
right,
didn't know what they.
thank you, Lee. I just wanted to get that straight. All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. All right. Michelle? No, I'm sorry.
No.
Consent
No.
agenda.
Consent agenda items. Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I make
You
a
all had a
motion.
chance to review them.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda items.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda items. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Who's the second? I got two of them to say.
All right, Ms. Mary Carroll,
Time of year. Again, good morning, Commissioners.
good morning.
In accordance with Florida Statute 197.402, paragraph 1, the Board of County Commissioners shall make such notice as provided in Chapter 50. In the past, the 3 newspapers in Jackson County have been used on a rotational basis. The 2019 delinquent tax list was advertised in the Graceville News. Last year's 2020 delinquent list was advertised in the Jackson County Times. So therefore, in accordance to what we've done in the past, it would be time for the 2021 delinquent list to appear in the Jackson County, Florida. And I'm requesting you to make this choice.
Okay, got a
So
motion
moved,
by
Mr.
Commissioner McKinney,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pate. The question was raised to me, is the Floridian still in business?
I mean, I know they were acquired by, I guess a parent company.
Alabama Community.
Right, and Berkshire Hathaway bought that, I guess, their parent company, but that's the only acquisition I know about.
Okay. All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand.
What you say? Being local?
You're good?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For this year. Ms. Carol Dunaway.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm here before you this morning requesting board approval for a budget amendment related to redistricting expenses. Before you, you have a budget amendment request form outlining those expenses. And I will add that at the suggestion of Ms. Michelle, excuse me, not Michelle.
Danielle.
Danielle, she had asked that we put all expenses related to redistricting in a separate category, which I think is really wise decision because as we move forward 10 years from now, when you undertake this process again, we'll have some historical data to look back upon. You also should have a breakdown of those expenses with a little bit more detail that I provided. I'd be happy to go over line by line, or if you've had an opportunity to review, I'll be happy to answer questions.
Got
whatever
a
your
motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second.
second by Commissioner Donifro. Do you have any money that you were going to give back to us?
Possibly, on the back end of the postage, if you'll note, there's 2 postage entries, or there may, on
Right,
my sheet, there's 2 postage entries. There may be some money from that 14,000 that comes back to you because that is a result of all of the list maintenance that we've worked on over the last year to clean up our voter rolls. So we should have hopefully a smaller percentage of return mail that we have to act upon and which would require that additional postage. So yes, you should have some money coming back there and possibly from any overtime. If we can reduce that, we'll be giving that back to you.
Ms. Dunaway, for its
Yes, sir.
education purposes, to give us ample time to get everything out there to get the public educated.
I certainly hope so. I spoke with the consultant that would be doing the work for us on conflating the maps and attaching the geotags to all the voters. We are getting in line with other supervisors that are using their services. But he mentioned to me yesterday that once we get the information to him, that he would start work immediately and his contract would read that he would be finished in 60 to 100 days. That gets us the 100 days gets us really close to qualifying time. But he also said as a caveat that he basically under promises but over delivers. He always finishes usually within 60 days, not the 100 days. So it's something we can work with. It's a tight window because we have a lot of work to do, sending out voter information cards and getting that information in our voter focus system. It's about a 6 to 8 week process. Yes, sir.
Do you know of any candidates that might be running but are unsure what district they are?
No, I think everybody's safe in that regard. But what they do know, or what they need to know, is who their voters are. And certainly there's maps that they can look at now, but as you all have been candidates before, you know that you like to get lists of voters. So that is what they're lacking, is the ability to be able to get the new list. So as soon as that information gets in, we'll be able to process those requests.
okay.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
will the funds come from? Are these coming from?
Contingency.
Contingency? Has that decision been made, basically?
It's,
Is it part of the motion?
yeah, it's on the form we got. Any more questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ms. Carroll.
Thank you.
Just remember, when you start counting the pennies, bring us some back. All right, Ms. Susanna Gaston.
I'm wearing a lot of hats today.
Yes, you are.
This item is for Envisionware, seeking to amend the contract addendum approved at the August 10th meeting. The purpose of this amendment is to amend the ownership of the product section of the contract addendum to reflect that the product is not a work for hire and that Envisionware retains all copyright and intellectual property ownership of all software, product manuals, and configuration guides. All other terms of the original agreement remain as originally written and approved.
Go ahead. Is this something that we,
Well,
why is this coming up?
my question is, Michelle, have you reviewed this?
No.
Well, don't we need her opinion on this before,
I reviewed the original agreement and sent the addendum, but this wasn't run back to me.
I make a motion to table it to see if council review.
okay, got a motion by Commissioner Hill to table this pending legal review. Second by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor? I mean,
Is there a time limit? I mean, okay.
all right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion tabled. Chief Bruner.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
First item I have for you all is requesting board approval for the creation of an OPS position for the Fire Rescue Medical Director. This has been reviewed by our legal team, administration, human resources, for Dr. Colby Redfield, our current medical director.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pate. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
And the next item that I have is requesting board approval of the renewal contract between the Board of County Commissioners and Dr. Colby Redfield for Fire Rescue Medical Director Services for a 1-year period.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Pate. I have a question. His retirement,
Yes, Ms. Daniels and Ms. Tidwell have reviewed that. The retirement will be paid out of the current budget amount.
more
I'm sorry, what
questions?
was the question again?
Anytime you have someone on OPS that's working more than how many hours?
6 months.
6 months,
Yes, sir.
you have to pay retirement. We got into that with the mowing crew.
And that's included in that.
So I was just wondering where it was coming from. Yes, Danielle.
All right, we need to fill in the blank on time. When will it start and we can correspond with a.
Okay, we'll get the payroll term.
Okay,
I can work with Danielle and get those terms.
all right.
It is a 1-year contract.
That's correct.
Any more questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
And I'll work with Ms. Danielle.
Chief Bruner, weren't you also going to share something else with the board?
I can, or I can wait towards the end.
Go ahead and share.
Okay, so just wanted to share some good news that correlates to the medical side of our department. And part of our medical director through education and updating our protocols and the new equipment that we've purchased over the last 3 years. Our paramedics and EMTs for Jackson County Fire Rescue for 3 consecutive months in a row have led the best door to balloon times for heart attack patients at Southeast Health in Dothan, Alabama. We have beat out all the regional services in the Tri-County and the Tri-State area for the month of December 2021, January 2022, and February 2022. We actually set the best record ever at Southeast Health of a door to balloon time for a patient of 32 minutes. And so how that correlates to our paramedics and EMTs is Once they pick up a patient and complete the assessment, they recognize the patient's having a heart attack. They perform the EKG in the field. They interpret that EKG correctly without any errors, notify the Southeast Health that the patient's indeed having a heart attack. Through the technology that the board has supplied us, we transmit that through a modem directly to the hospital so the cardiologist can read it. He or she activates the team, and as soon as the patient hits the doors of the hospital, they go to the heart cath lab, where they then get a stent in their heart. The national average is 90 minutes across the United States, and we set a new record of 32 minutes at Southeast Health, where no EMS service has done that before. So we're very proud of that. We're very proud. There's a high probability of error of misreading the EKGs due to mimics. And so we pride our paramedics and EMTs on being able to do that. So we just want to share that with you all.
Yes, Paul.
Chairman, I just want to say a personal thank you to Jackson County Fire and Rescue. I don't know, I didn't understand everything that you said, but I do know that I was picked up at the gym, at Chipola Fitness with heart condition, transported to Southeast Medical Center up in Dothan by Jackson County Fire and Rescue. Very professional. They got me there very quickly. As a matter of fact, when we pulled in, I couldn't believe we had gotten there so quick. So I guess that's what you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
and
It's
if that's the
similar.
case,
We're able to transmit the data directly from our ambulances anywhere in the county to the receiving facilities, and that notifies them immediately. And that sends all the data that we've captured in our cardiac monitors directly to them. And of course, we couldn't have done it without the board's support of that technology, and we really appreciate that.
That's why I would like to also commend the board for supporting.
Absolutely.
They do a good job.
Cutting edge technology. So
Just keep up the good work. I may need you one day.
We don't want Don to set any more records for us.
Right.
We're glad he's part of that 32 minutes right now.
Do we have any people here for, what is it, Mystery Springs Road? Raise your hand if you're here for that. Let's go ahead and do that. So these people don't have to just continue waiting. You all agree with that? Yes, under public hearing. Ms. Amber, we'll go into a public hearing. We're now in public hearing.
This is a request made by Brian Kent for an application to abandon a portion of Mystery Springs Road located between Bethlehem Road and County Road 167, approximately 2,000 feet in length in unincorporated Jackson County. On February the 8th, 2022, the Planning Commission recommended denial of the road abandonment because the road connects two highways and is used by the neighbors and citizens.
Okay. Is there anyone in the room for or against this who wants to speak? If you are, either way, come up, state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
I'm Brian Kent. I want to first off say what an honor to be here, Miss Bowles, with her 100th birthday today recognition. That's quite an accomplishment, quite a legacy that she's left. I'm Brian Kent. I live right here on Mystery Springs, between Fairview and Bethlehem. And the reason for over the past several years, I've been able to acquire the property that's on both sides of Mystery Springs, from one road to the next. And if you look at this as one piece of property, now that that's what it could be, is there's a road cutting right through the middle of the property. And the reason that I wanted to close or for you guys to abandon, a couple of reasons. My son and his daughter live across the road. Got a granddaughter, she's 2 years old, and she's all over the place. And if there's something I can do to prevent something from happening to her, that's what I want to do. Sure. And also, since the hurricane, the storm has tore out a bunch of trees like everybody else, and it's broke the ditch through, and the water just comes right into there's a hole in front of my yard. And the water just goes in the ground there. It always has, but since the storm, more water comes in and it floods out my front yard more than ever before. And the road from here in is just a muddy mess. It washes out, breaks through. This part of what, if you guys would allow me to, and abandon it, I would take ownership of the road and I would pave it from here to there. And that would in turn, I could slow my traffic down that comes through there, for the safety of my family that's on the road. I've had 4 different incidences in the past 2 years where we had to call the sheriff out to come. Illegal activities have been on the road. Unnecessary traffic on there has caused different illegal activities. And I won't go into details about those, but that's 4 different times. One in August of 19, September of 19, March of 20, and January of 2021. That, you know, when I brought this up, you know, I presented it to Amber and she took it through. There's nobody else that has adjacent property on the road, so we cleared that up. The road and bridge had no objections to abandon the road. Sheriff's Department had no objection to abandon the road. Fire Marshal had no objection to abandon the road. The school route does not go through there. The school bus does not go down Mystery Springs Road. The mail route, she only comes in from Fairview to my mailbox and then back out to Fairview and go. She doesn't use it as a cut through. But a lot of other people use it as a cut through. And driving fast down the road, it creates a dangerous situation. And years ago, when Mr. Land first bought the property, the road only went into his house. It did not go all the way through. This is an aerial from before 1950. This is Mystery Springs here. Everybody can see all that, but there's a I got a circle there. Road went into his homestead here, and that was it. And at some point after that, he allowed the county to come through and make a road all the way through. And after that, between then and now, there have been multiple property owners on the road. You know, the guy that lived in the house on where I live now before me, he lived there, and there was a couple of others that, you know, that lived on the road as well. But since then, now it's back to one property owner for both sides of the road, the total length of the road. Then I just asked him that we take it back to how it was when Mr. Land first bought the property and just allow me to contain it. And I'll take care of the road. Go ahead, Mr. Payne.
On that first map you showed, who owns that parcel right at the end?
That's Miss Wanda Sue Land.
Okay, so you do not own both sides of the road all the way to the thing,
That's a,
according to that map.
well, that map, according to the survey,
That ain't the one you showed though.
I haven't showed that one yet, but according to the survey, her land stops just shy of the road there. The old line goes off the road. The road is not the center of the property line, according to the survey.
You have a majority of the road.
I'm sorry?
You have majority of the road. I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
there is some of her land that touches Mystery Springs Road, right?
No, sir. Not based on what the survey shows. No. Survey says no. The point is to the north of there.
Okay, I was going by that first map,
Yes, sir.
and there is on that map.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. Hill.
Okay.
Go ahead, I gotta let you finish, and I got a question for you. Go ahead. You got it.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I thought he was.
I'm real close. I mean,
You're fine, go ahead.
I just ask you guys to look at it from the perspective of, well, I forgot one more thing. I don't mean to go over. There's some opposition that signed a petition around against closing the road. And I did a snapshot of all the addresses that signed the petition. And this is the blow up of it. You see, there's some that are signed that are above the interstate, that are down all the way down south on the cutoff. That flip it over. This is a zoom in. We're only talking about this little road right here. And I can understand neighbors that live close that may not be too content, with me doing the process I'm trying to do. But all the ones on the petition, I don't see how it will affect them. I don't know how often they use the road at all.
Mr. Hill.
Yeah, and my only concern is I've only been on the board 7.5 years, and memory serves me right, we've only shut down maybe one, maybe two roads, I think, one up off of Mount Tabor that was on, but it was dead end. And I'll go and tell you, I've just basically did some rough sneeze math here, and I got just north of north of 100 signatures here. The problem I personally have with it is that that's a through road. Now, I've argued in the past with people who've presented dead end roads here before, or other roads, but personally, I don't really care where they are in the county if they use that road. And again, to mediate with your granddaughter, and I definitely empathize with you on the child thing. We deal with that weekly, you know, with kids that play, you know, signs and stuff like that. And that's not to diminish your concern for your grandkids' well-being, is the fact that that is still a through road from this county for many decades. And again, I've talked to farmers that use that, and they told me the distance they have to travel, and that's my only concern, is that, you know, we overwhelmingly have people.
Public hearing, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
I'll just finish the public hearing.
Yeah.
You got a couple.
All right. Are you finished?
Yes, sir. I just was gonna,
If y'all have any questions, we can call him back up.
We'll have, we might have
All right,
some more
is there
after.
anyone else for or against who wants to speak? If you do, come forward.
We'll call you back after we get out of the public hearing. If we have questions.
State your name
I'm
for the
John
record.
Land, Land.
And the young lady who?
Linda Lamb.
Linda, okay. Go ahead.
Mine's blank. This is just-
It happens to all of us,
this is
don't
about
worry.
me through death. This man's wanting to close this road. My mother and father raised 6 children on it. And you know, not one of us ever got run over. It's quiet. A lot of people turns there and goes over to Bethlehem. We hear y'all are gonna have Bethlehem paved. But if you do, you need to send somebody down there on Bethlehem and look up 167 to the north and figure out how people can get out on the road without getting run over. It's a steep hill right at the end of Bethlehem, very dangerous. I know for a fact the log truck pulled it out and got hit. Cooter Atkins, him and his wife got run over there. She broke her hip. And another wreck or two. But we lived there all of our lives. In 1953, I was sitting in a number 2 wash tub on the back porch of our old house taking my evening bath. When all of a sudden, boom! We were in the old house further behind the new house my father was building. And a big ball of smoke to the north. And my father got off the house and bid our ADJ and come back up there where they could look. I was standing there buck naked looking. Francis, my mama, Francis, we're gonna go to town and see what that was. And here, can I go? Son, you better stay here and take care of your mama. So anyway, here they went to town, and then a little bit they came back. Big airplane blew up. We saw some wreckage, and I think it was a hand we saw. But we lived right there and had no problems with anybody. Mr. Vernon Hill built the house that this boy's in. Not one complaint did we have against them, and no complaints did they have against us. We lived peaceably. I hope that y'all will keep the road open.
Thank
If
you,
I
sir.
have to, I can grade it myself. I have a 7-foot box blade and a little tractor. And I'm all the time grading. I won't charge y'all fuel or anything.
Well, we may have to take you
You
up
do
on that.
900 and something miles.
We got plenty of roads that need grading.
But,
All right.
I've seen that road in a lot worse shape than it is. It hasn't been graded for a long time. It needs dishes bad. We used to have dishes. They're not.
Talk to Jabbo about that.
Just need some
But,
dishes.
we appreciate it, Mr. Bland. Is there anyone else that wants to say anything?
I think that's all I can say. We appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Since that house was built, Mr. Kent said it's a danger for his grandchild to cross the road. Since 1912, 4 days when that house was, when that road started. I have not heard, there has been 17 children that lived in that house one time or another. And then Mr. Stockville, he has children on the other side of the road
3 minutes.
on Fairview. And no child has ever got hurt on that road since 1953. We were married in 1968, and I have not heard of one child ever getting injured on that road.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room that wants to speak or against? Fred, you got anyone waving?
If anybody online would like to speak for or against, they may raise their hand now via the raise hand feature on Zoom or via *9 if called via telephone. I see no hands raised.
Thank you, sir. We're out of public hearing. Okay, Commissioner Donifro.
Thank you, Chairman Peacock. Right now, this road is not in my district, but I think as a result of the redistricting, my district will actually go right down Mystery Springs Road to Bethlehem. And I've spoken to both those that are for closing this road or for abandoning the road and those against. And, you know, when I was a city commissioner and when I was a mayor, we had this come up many, many times. And as I told Mr. Kent, you know, typically I was in favor of closing a road unless it adversely impacted other people. In other words, if there was no one that spoke against abandoning the road, and especially if it was a dead end road, I had no problem in abandoning it. But in this particular case, you've got a lot of people that this would inconvenience. And the other aspect of this for me is the fact that the Planning and Zoning Board has looked at this. Those people sit on that board. They spend a lot of their time debating these issues, and they've come back with a recommendation not to abandon it. I have a hard time, Mr. Kent, going against what a volunteer board makes a recommendation about, because they thoroughly vetted this issue. So, yeah, I kind of go along with what I believe Commissioner Hill's position is that it would be it would adversely, I think, impact more people than it would positively impact. And so I will be voting against abandoning the road.
Mr. Pate?
Mr. Kent, I know I spoke to you one time and we were talking about, you know, owning the property on both sides, which that's one of our requirements. But I did not realize it was a cut-through road. What is the distance if we was to abandon that road? What would be the distance that people have to go around to get to that spot? Do we know?
6 miles.
Anybody? Let's say we're going back to the end of Mystery Springs Road. Yeah. Okay, but if you're going, you know, okay. I heard it, maybe to somebody's family or something, it would be, you know, a lot more than that. So I wasn't sure if you close that road. It's one way you're going.
Another consideration, and I did actually ride down there and look at this, is if that road is closed and you do force people to use Bethlehem all the way out to Fairview Road to exit onto Fairview, that is a more dangerous exit point onto Fairview Road than opposed to coming out onto Fairview off of Mystery Springs Road. So that's another consideration, is the safety factor.
And I understand that you want to close that because of the safety, but you know, we do have that on all our roads. Where I live, they come by my house doing 100 miles an hour. And, you know, so we have that everywhere, but as, you know, a cut through road that everybody uses, I don't see where we can.
Another component of this is I do think that we need to get Road and Bridge down there to look at the flooding issues, to see if we can get Mr. Kent.
Yeah, if we could look at that and look at the maintenance records and get the ditches dug out and whatever we need to do.
The chairman, I make a motion to deny the request.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill. Got a second by Commissioner Pate. Any more questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, raise your right hand. The motion is to deny. Thank you, Ms. Amber. Sorry to keep you all waiting so long, but now we'll go back to the agenda in order, okay? Rhett Daniels.
First off, I want to apologize. I got to do a handout really quick. I didn't have this item completely put together by the deadline last week. All right, so what I have for you today is a board approval for a new lease agreement for Peacock Bridge boat ramp. So since this was a short-term lease, we decided instead of doing an amendment to make some changes, we just drafted a new lease with the help of our legal department. So we are still in negotiations with the property owner through water management. Nothing's finalized at this time, but what the property owner is requesting that we move up the term to March 15th. So our first short-term lease was from January 1 to March 31st. So he's asking to move up the end of that term and start this new one on March 15th, and then run it at $2,600 per month of a fee, which is based off of 10% of the appraised value of the ramp itself.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Donifro, and I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Can we extend this if need be?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I have.
Yeah, so I think we put in there, not to exceed 11 months total, so almost a year.
Go ahead.
Well, my question is that, are we just stalled, or is it the place of?
We had an issue come up the past couple of weeks that did stall it, but we worked through that, so we're back in the running right now.
Can you elaborate on that?
No, sir.
Michelle, you've reviewed this.
She wrote it.
Well, I guess you reviewed it. All right.
Where does these funds come from?
So our vessel registration funds that we use to maintain boat ramps. Yep.
All right, any more questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Jabba, before you start, did we put on there the speed bump petition for Hamilton Road? Is it on the agenda?
Yes, that's not.
Got some people here that prepared and got a petition signed to put speed bumps on Hamilton Road. And the petition was presented to the board some time ago. And I thought it was going to be on the agenda at this time. I hate to keep them waiting for that particular item. This has been a problem out on Hamilton Road. Speeding has been forever, ever since I've been in office. And probably 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4, they discussed this petition with me, but I never did see a petition per se. Now a signed petition. I think there's what, 70 people or something like that. A lot of people signed it. All the people out on Hamilton Road, I think, signed it. I'd like to go ahead and deal with this if the board will allow us, so these people don't have to stay here and wait for an answer. Mr. Ed, you want to come up and speak for a minute? You got 3 minutes. Come on.
Meantime, where's Hamilton Road at?
In God's country.
69.
I mean, it is. but it's Jackson County.
Yeah, it connects 69 to Stevens Road. It's a cut through road. Ed, go, state your name for the record.
Ed Tice.
All right,
Good
go.
morning.
Morning, sir.
I'm here, I presented this petition, we did, right after the last election, commissioner meeting y'all had. Each one of y'all county commissioners should have got one in y'all's box. Okay. Now, we have a big problem out there with speeding. There's no way that speed limit signs out there, They don't even pay it no attention. Four-way stop sign, they run through it like it's a ghost sign. And all, we just need some help out there to help slow that traffic down.
They do speed
And that's the
out.
only way that we're gonna be able to control that speed, because there's a lot of farm equipment up and down that road, and they'll go around it. You can be driving right just about in the middle of the road, some of them will go around you. You know, they don't pay you no mind. They don't have no respect for the people that lives on the road. It's the people that does not live on the road we have a problem with. Ever since they put that pavement through there, it's been a disaster. We didn't have this problem when it was a dirt road. Now they're using it for a cutoff road.
Danielle, did you have a question?
No, the clerk's office needs a copy of that.
You'll get one. Okay, Commissioner
How
Hill.
long is Hamilton Road? I'm familiar with it, but just not the distance. It's what, a mile and a half?
Yeah,
Give or take?
Yeah.
How many?
mile and a half, give or
streets are we
take.
talking about?
Yeah, that's my, how many speed bumps are y'all, humps, bumps, whatever you gonna call them, are y'all
Well, if
asking?
you put one every 10 feet, that'd be too far. But we'll go 100 yards, 200 yards, something like that.
I think to answer that question, we probably need to get with Jabo and go out and let's look at it and
There's engineered drawings on those, correct?
to see. I can see, pardon? You can get with
both of them.
Mr. Tice and myself. Jared, do you want to say something?
I'm Jared Tice. I live on the road also. And like, the biggest problem we've got is with the speed is the farm equipment, because it is a farming community. There's a lot of livestock. And then as the man was talking about the protection of the kids, and at one time we had a deaf child that lived right there on the road. So if we can just get help to slow them down, we've spoke with the sheriff's office, I've spoken with Florida Highway Patrol, everybody I can to try to get something done. And seems like the last result.
I'll make a motion when you said it.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Hill. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner McKinney.
So what is the proposal?
Well, the proposal will have to be basically based upon what it is, because again, we don't have to generate a cost analysis of how far the Jabo and them comes up with it, and then work out, it's gonna come out of Commissioner Pank's.
Peacock.
Not mine, because I don't like speed bumps. Sorry.
But I guess it would be kind of open-ended right now until we get final approval as far as the amount of money. And I'm not talking about the approval for the humps, but.
So is your motion to get?
Jabo and them do analysis of it, get
Together,
cost analysis, and get
specific
specific, make sure that that'll work with him financially, and then we'll go from there.
And I'd like to commend you guys for doing your due diligence on making sure that the residents, the residents gonna be impacted, are gonna be served.
It is
That's good, thank you.
It'll be a lesson to Washington County, because they're getting ready to pave all those dirt roads, and it's gonna be a problem with speeders.
It's an issue everywhere. And I know, but are you sure y'all want speed bumps on that road? Okay, because a lot of people who get them, especially out in the country, they don't want them after they had them. And we've had some that they have ripped them up. That's just, they should never touch them. That's vandalism, but,
They do.
Okay.
I don't know what else to do. I know it happens everywhere.
Speed out on that road. We got one or two of them. Speed bump, go out there and take that asphalt up and put it back there.
And they probably speed not quite as fast on dirt road, though, didn't they?
If it's in good shape, they will.
Yeah, it becomes a cut through.
Steve, you got your hand up? He's Steve Tice.
The explanation on it pretty much self-explanatory. You have to add one thing. There's a lot of places that are huge oak trees within 3 foot of the edge of the roof. That within itself presents a hazard. Even with, if you abide by the speed, it still presents a hazard. And there's a lot of places where there is no shoulder. And my son and my grandchildren, they ride horses a lot. And they've almost gotten run over because there's no way to get off the road, these steep streets. Oh, it's the other side of the road. You know what I'm talking about, Steve.
I'm very familiar with Hamilton Road. Okay, I'll get with Jabu will get with you guys and we'll get out there and take a look at it. See what we can do.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming.
Yep. You got a motion in a second?
Yeah. All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
It's just like, what's the road you pay, Mills?
Sweet Farm?
No, it's right here in town, over on.
Oh, Merritt Mill. All right, Jeffrey, come back up. Thank you, sir. Sorry, trying to get through it.
All right, I guess the first thing I got this morning was express board approval of work authorization number 3 for Gatlin Geller to restripe Kinesville Highway.
Second.
Got a motion by
Gotta be done.
Commissioner Hill,
we
second
have-
by Commissioner Donifro, and a question by
Don't spend my
Commissioner
money.
Payne.
No, I thank y'all. But do we have striping funds?
There's about $147,000 in striping.
Okay.
We talked about that last.
Yeah, but
last month.
it's got on here after, out of District 2.
Because we took last time out of District 4.
Shouldn't have.
Yeah, that was what was on the agenda item. So the problem is, if each of you pick roads, somebody's not gonna get a road done because there's not enough money.
Right.
So the theory is, road department should bring you a list of roads that they feel need to be striped. And then you approve those roads. But y'all are picking your own road.
Because we,
And then-
and nothing to Jeffrey, but that's never been done. I knew there was a fund and we've used it because Larry used to put it in the bid and then pull it out to make the bid come in less and then use the striping money to stripe it.
Both of these roads need to be striped.
But I think it ought to be coming out of the striping fund, even to Commissioner Hills.
How much more money in the strike fund?
147.
147.
How much was
I
mine?
agree with Mr. Pate on that.
20,
You've got 23
I
is
had it
what's
printed.
coming
I
to
borrowed
my
some from
mind.
you then.
23 or 24.
Yeah, I
About.
think you're right.
All right,
I mean,
any
think
more
of
questions?
Where's this
Is the
money
is
gonna
the
come
motion to stripe Kinesville Highway and utilize the striping money? That's the motion. Jeffrey, we just went through this arbitration. Kinesville Highway is federal highway.
It's,
Does it qualify for any federal funding?
it doesn't, not according to what I've looked into and all that, it don't. It's on a federal highway, transportation sheet, but it's not under any federal funds or anything.
What does it take to get it off?
That's a very good
I
question.
mean, we need to get it off. Either
Yeah,
either
especially
they
down
need to
those-
maintain it and fix it,
Right,
or us, but you know, what happened with FEMA, they said, oh, you can't do nothing with FEMA money because it's not ours.
right. So,
They should have looked at it, see if they had been maintaining that road, or who had been
They
maintaining.
hadn't
it.
maintained it at all, so.
Never.
right,
Yes, there's other ones.
I
And there's some
recommended the
that's-
last meeting that you go
Right.
out and see Carrie and get a list.
right.
You'll be
Have
surprised
Karen draw
what's on there.
Have Carrie
Okay,
provide us a
Send
list
that
of federal
to us.
highways,
okay,
besides the obvious ones.
right.
All right, but we've got a motion and a second. Any more questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Jeffrey, the next one's yours also.
And the next one is, request board approval of work authorization number 4 for Gatlin Geller to restripe Blue Springs Road.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill out of the striping fund.
Listen here, now I feel like I'm getting left out.
No,
Well-
he said to go back to yours.
We need to, do we need to do a motion after this to do that? Okay.
I don't
Got a
mind.
motion and a second.
All right,
Who's
got a motion and a second.
Go ahead.
who's your second?
Hill was the motion, Fate was the second. All right, any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
do we need to rescind that motion from last meeting or can I make a new
No, the
motion?
tax work orders already went out, so we just need to be
Reimbursing.
on record saying
Making a
that
motion.
I'll
it's
make a-
coming from the striping.
I make a motion to take the money for what road was it?
I haven't, that was Larimore Road,
Striping out of, the striping fund.
And I second.
Motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner McKinney. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on, Jeffrey.
All right, the next one is, board approval of renewal of litter contract, year 2 of the right-of-way maintenance, discussion. And, kind of, I guess the discussion part of it is, if you're looking down here, we're requesting the board approval to renew the 2022 litter removal contract in the amount of $306,000, 306,603, and discuss possible add-ons. The add-ons are a one-time mass weed eating, which is $24,505. If we do it on 6 cycles, it's $83,600. Do it on 6 cycles, it's $100,320. Now, kind of what I have looked at, which, you know, to save money or to moving forward with this, kind of what I'm looking at is trying to get probably roughly about $50,000 approved through the board. I've got an old 3/4 ton truck out at the yard. I've got a tank I can put in the back. Looking to buy 2 side-by-sides, which would run about $20,000 each, about $1,000 per tank to go in each of those, and the chemicals, I think what was it, $1,000 a 30-gallon tote. So probably buying, 4 or 5 of those up front, because we don't really know how much it would take on a spray cycle, and get 3 or 4 county employees certified to do spraying. And then we can use this truck and the trailer with our tanks and all that and go around and spray around,
Guardrails primarily, or everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Guardrails and signs.
Guardrail signs.
We guessing
Markers.
at side-by-side prices or
The
they went up?
side-by-sides,
because-
the side-by-sides right now, and it's all in when you can get them, just like everything else. But right now, you're looking at, I've got a price that was good for 30 days if we could get it. And it was just shy of $18,000 per
Ooh, I need to
side-by-side.
sell mine. make some
And
money.
it was, and that was through the source well,
Is that a 4-person one or?
4-person. And those particular ones are John Deere's. And I'm still waiting on one from Bobcat, which is made by Polaris.
What about Kubota?
I hadn't priced any Kubotas.
Check with them
Can I make a
during the
suggestion
process,
too?
Jeff.
It's on a different note, kind of for financial compensation. That grinder that's been out there, that tree trimmer grinder, we need to liquidate it. It needs to be gone. We talked about that $63,000 piece of machinery. I understand it's not being used.
It's never been used.
Never been titled.
Yeah, it's
Right.
not-
About the chipper, they're using it now.
They're using chipper
We
now.
got it legal and it's moving on.
We bought that in 16, right? I think 18, so 4 years. Do we use enough to keep it?
We should.
$63,000.
We should. I mean, just for, because we got this boom truck out here and all that. When we go out there, rather than send grapple trucks and all that, we could just carry, and everybody don't want to hear all that, but, we carry this boom truck with a chipper behind it, shoot it in the back of the truck, move on. I mean,
Well, that's good.
Jabo, getting back to the chemical spray application,
Yes.
what would that do? I mean, would that eliminate some of
Yes,
this
sir.
work? Is that what
that
you're asking?
basically we could eliminate like the mass trimming or whatever. And then if you got side-by-sides, if there was something we need immediate attention with weed eating or something, we can throw the weed eaters in the side-by-sides and go out. I mean, and it is using just, I always want to think we don't have anybody that's spraying somebody's manicured yard and all that. But, I mean, that's why I'm trying to look at the 3 or 4 county employees, let them be certified, and then we can go out. And this particular chemical was good for up to 174 days, so you really shouldn't have to do it. It would be my thinking, do it in March, and then probably about August, and then that should get you through the, right, that should get you through the year.
Wow, 4-man. What are you gonna do?
Well, I mean, if we get them, they won't be used just for this. And on the 4-man, on the John Deere platform and all that,
you can lay this back part, the back seat down, and then you just got a bigger bed.
So what I'm saying is, why is 4 of them riding together?
Well,
No,
the way
give me
we're,
a-
now,
give me a-
now the way we're gonna set it up, the line coming off of it, if we choose to go this route, the line coming off will have a sprayer that'll come out both sides. So you can run 2 men in it spraying at one time. But
Spraying.
the cost,
Spraying what?
spraying
Both
around,
sides.
spraying around pedestal signs, mailboxes. I mean, just like if you're going down and this man can get this one, this man's over here spraying. I mean, but the cost difference, I don't think is very minimal between well,
Used
however
to
you want
be, I don't
to
know now.
a 2-seater or a 4-seater, you know.
Well, I think we need to definitely look at the spraying.
I think spraying's gonna be a more effective way to manage it.
Well,
Yes.
You know, it
you know
seems
what
like
they
to me.
Alabama, they just spray the whole right of way.
Well, you know,
I don't-
and I really noticed last year that the state's spraying a lot now. You know, and just, you know, by looking at these, and like I say, you know, at another time, we might look at getting a newer truck, but I got old F-250 that I pulled off a surplus line that I've got going. I can put a big tank, you know, a nurse tank in the back, then have the smaller tanks on the side by sides and go.
Well,
When do you think, when do we need a decision by?
Probably, I guess at this point, we need to either decide if we want to go with a one-time mass trim or if we want to invest this money for a long term, because a one-time mass trim is $24,505,
what's it gonna cost to set you up to spray?
probably about 50 grand.
But last year, did they do what they were supposed to do?
That contract it is a little vague, but they did go around and weed eat and all that. And that's kindly because this right here, and Rick can verify that this is the big thing we had about the weed eating OPS. This is what all this stemmed from, because we had been planning on doing this because while these OPS workers weren't in their busy season, we could have went around and cut that one time, and saved $24,505. So if we make a capital investment with you today, I'm go ahead and starting the side-by-side spraying project, do you feel confident that one round would be enough?
I don't think you'd have to do one.
I mean, yeah, or none. I don't care.
I
I'd
mean-
rather be none if you can do it. I mean, if we can do it in-house, I mean,
the biggest thing would be when the side-by-sides would get here. I mean, I think we can make it through right now.
so they didn't give you a
without-
time frame on when you do the 30 days?
Well, it could be up to about 5 months.
Well, I would
So-
speak like the commissioner was talking about, maybe check with other vendors, especially local ones, because we get a discount. on-
Definitely check Kubota.
Okay.
Kubota.
I mean,
There
what
you
I
go.
was going after was ones that's got government contracts and all that. I don't, Kubota may or
I'm
may
not
not.
sure.
I think they
But-
do.
Either they
Because,
don't, they get, I think that, Danielle, did they get a 5% discount on local contractors? Or I'm not contractors for like side by side at Kubota, 5, okay.
If
So-
it's local, but, I mean, that's bid price. You don't, it's over 15,000, so you have to bid them.
Right.
even off the Sourcewell contract.
Well, I mean, their position's always bid and then look at what you could, if the bids are higher than what the contract is, I mean, that's a decision you can make, but we didn't budget for a one-time mass trimming this year. We got the increased amount in there, line item. So this money would have to come from somewhere. You're not saving anything today, because we didn't budget for it.
Oh, it's not even budget, okay, well, that kind of answers that thing, unless we come up with that kind
Right.
of money, we don't have to. So I'd say if we had to go out for bid, that would probably be the best thing.
Does it have to go out for bid even though it's like on that Sourcewell contract? 'Cause that's
It's a state contract, or it does not have to. Y'all have used contracts like that.
I mean, but I
You
was-
can-
I
you
was-
can put it out to bid.
I would still, check with Kubota and see if they've got
Well,
a,
if you check with one, I would prefer you check with all of them if that's the case. I mean,
Well,
check with them.
I mean,
Availability, to me, the availability, if we go out for bid and the website you're speaking of from the state website, whatever you.
it's, the Sourcewell is
Okay.
kind of like the sheriff's department grant.
Sure, yeah, I understand.
It's,
So my point is that one of those, if we go out for bid and look locally, who has it first? We really, even if you paid a little bit more, we need them.
Right.
So it'd be worth the investment time-wise and
Right.
to save the other money. So I'll make a motion, we go out for bid and and that will take,
All the equipment
10
necessary to
weeks.
do it.
10 days is our fastest bid process, correct?
Yeah, I guess the only thing that would have to be able to be the side by side.
I'll second.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Donifro, go out for bid. Any more questions? This is to get the necessary equipment to start a spraying operation. Okay. All
And it
those in
may
favor?
be local.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
And,
Yes, Commissioner Pate's got a comment.
Well, we still hadn't addressed this.
Right.
But did they do a good enough job for what we paid them on litter pickup? We shouldn't do it, if they didn't, we shouldn't be doing a renewal again without correcting.
well, I think we started getting on them about the litter pickup to make sure, because they do, sometimes they don't pick up litter just like I think. Like one day I had a phone call about them picking up litter, and then on Old US Road, out up to, up there about where Chief Lovett lives, there was still trash and all right there. So when I called them about it, they come in from Old US or 162 up there. They come down Old US and they turn around right there at Chief Lovett's house and then go back. So they don't get that last part till they come in from like the cavern. And to me, you know, that just, because in my mind, if they go ahead and get the whole road.
Get the whole road.
Because
Right,
if you
right.
don't, when you come back down Caverns Road, you might say, well, I just got over US and
Right,
this.
right.
Well, you're creating problems when you sell it, because you don't have complaints. They don't see, okay, well, we saw them when I come to work this morning and they got to hear.
It's no different than the grader.
You missed it, that's
If
right.
a grader picks up right here at the end of the day and he's going back to his tank.
Let 'em know.
well, They got
They
one right
don't
away
get
and they
the
didn't grade the
complaints
road.
you and I get.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. They're creating complaints.
Just make sure that they're going,
Road.
when they get on the road, they go to the end.
Right.
Get to the intersection, major intersection. Well, is the 306,000, is that in the budget?
Yes.
Okay, we just don't have the other add-ons budgeted. Is that correct?
Right.
It's a 2-year contract, right?
It's a three, so there's still another year.
So do you have an amendment prepared to that contract that is currently in place? Or I missed that there was no.
It's a 3-year contract, why would we renew?
Thought we-
Year two?
Add-on.
We were doing the add-ons.
It's just for the add-ons.
We're not adding on,
We're not adding anything on. We don't have to do anything. So,
we're not doing anything with this item.
and
Other
based
than
on,
going out for bid.
So what is
based on the
current contract?
availability and timing of getting the spray
306.
application equipment, we may not have to do any of this.
That's right.
Is that what?
That's my consistency.
So we didn't have an extension.
See it, I guess, amendment to extend, what would that look like?
If it's a 3-year contract, why would we have to extend it?
I didn't realize. it was-
We do a 3-year, we didn't know.
I don't know, you wouldn't know that we did, I just asked.
Well, we don't want to go down that road.
It's a 1-year contract with the
Option.
2-year renewal option, making it 3 years.
Going back to the spraying, just like I had concerns about the mowing, are we gonna be able to get people to do the spraying?
And get
Hire
them
people.
certified.
And get them certified?
I've got one county employee right now that he's already been previously certified for the city of Cottondale. And that's kind of what I'm looking at, is having the countywide employees be the ones certified. So when they're not running a patch truck, when they're not running a grader, when they're not working on a bridge, that's the ones ideally, so it's not taken out of all the districts, and let them be the ones to do that.
All right. Are we straight on that? Huh? No?
Do we want it or not? Do we want to add on? I mean,
I
we don't have to
see
make
it.
a decision today. Why don't we chew on that?
Okay,
Yeah, I mean.
but I guess,
we-
so the only thing we do
to do is approve the 306, 603 for the.
I make a motion to approve that. Second.
Okay, got a
And do y'all-
motion.
Do you still want me to go ahead and get the bids on the side by sides?
Yes.
Just so-
Okay.
Okay.
Just for clarification, as I understand it, we're moving forward with trying to get the spray application equipment and program set up so that we don't have to do any of these three
That's
items.
correct.
Is that- that's-
Yes, sir.
And it might be a transitional thing, maybe we have to do, we don't know that, because we don't want to go cold turkey on one of them if the other one don't come to fruition.
Right.
We want to make sure that we do what we need to do, but.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Doniflo to approve the extension of this litter removal contract. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. They're on for another year.
Again, I'm confused why we're extending a 3-year contract.
No, it's a
It's
year-to-year
one-year with two-
contract.
with Renewal for 2 extra years.
Yeah.
So we're just renewing the second and the third year, right? Grant?
Yes.
All right, and the last thing I got is request board approval, of change order, closeout documents, and final pay request for Mockingbird Lane.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Fate. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Hunter Potts. Jeffrey, do you have anything else you want to tell us?
No, sir, I'm good.
Don't run off.
He just said don't run off.
That don't run off. The kicker.
Okay, so the first item I have is to request approval to reject the bids for the sports tourism strategic plan. So we thought that the interest that the former TDC director wasn't here. This is kind of a project that we had started, but in light of that vacancy, we wanted to cancel the project and maybe re-advertise in the future.
That's the only reason why we can't send that to the previous TDC not here.
What impact would that have?
Well,
Yeah.
I think the logic was that this is a long-term project that we're hopefully going to get a new TDC director fairly soon and let that person review it and,
But the board agreed that we needed something. So I don't understand why.
this
we're
board
pulling-
member didn't.
Well, 4 of us did. And now you want, or somebody's wanting to cancel that, so I don't know.
I mean, we're moving forward with hiring a replacement. Don't we have an interim that's coming on pretty quick?
He's right here.
We do.
But,
So what was the cost on that? What was the cost?
it was like $60,000, wasn't it?
My only concern is that the board made a decision to do it, not based on who was standing, but based on what was happening. So, I mean, I agree. I don't really see any. Not move
Well-
forward with it if we all agree. I mean, if we agreed to do it in the first place. I didn't change my mind from then to now. I mean.
Did you look at the contract to see what they were going to do?
I read over at the time to the agenda pack.
They're going to come in and tell us how many softball fields, how many basketball courts we got.
Well,
They're not going to tell us who to bring in.
That's part of it. You do an inventory, but that's not total. That's not the total.
Yeah.
They're gonna market.
Okay.
Well, my understanding, they're gonna market it, get us out there for us, attracting talent.
So there's not a copy of the contract in there, correct?
No, there's no contract.
I don't think we got to that point yet.
No, this next step, no, the board never officially awarded it. It got the proposals back and ranked them, and then that's kind of when her departure happened, and then so kind of stalled out from
Oh, so
there.
had he started yet?
Has not started, has not been awarded.
So
We're basically.
can we,
had final rankings and we
Yeah.
probably did take it to the board. It was probably awarded but never negotiated.
I don't think so.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think it was ever even.
I think that's partly why we were bringing it up. It would have been better to have said board direction. We're not making any kind of strong recommendation one way or another on approving or rejecting. We just want a decision so that we can either tell the people who applied or one way or another.
There was only 2, right?
So,
I
and
don't
I
know.
think if you go through this process again, you're probably gonna get the same 2 and, more than likely. Yeah, it's been 3 months. I mean, when was they?
it was 12, 13, 21.
Yeah, there's 2.
when they done it.
So why wasn't it negotiated? Because she left? or
We
what?
had, the thought was, let's get someone in place.
Oh, I know, but
which
when
is
we-
taking longer.
Right.
And so, now that, that's not done, we just need direction, whatever that is. If the board
So-
still wants to proceed,
We
we
need
can
to
do
see
that.
with this.
So do we need
What-
to just approve the final ranking tab
Mhm.
and then,
Yeah, we
Yes.
can bring the contract back to you officially, because it was a request for proposal. I think they put a price in there. I want to say it was around $25,000, I think, but paid out of TDC funds.
Exactly.
So it would be technically, essentially no cost to the board, but at the end of the day, you'll have this final product, this strategic plan that you can use to.
My concern is that it's been 3 months since this went over, we're just hearing about it. Why is it 3 months? I mean, we should have known that, I mean, it was important enough to bring it to us in December. I just don't know why we haven't finalized it. I mean, that's my
Well-
concern.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I mean, I was going to saying, I guess.
Well, we did,
I'll take the blame for it,
thank you.
because when this was all going on, we lose the TDC director, and I said, look, this is a
Okay,
big
if you have a
project.
reason,
We
that's
need
fine.
we need to get somebody on board before we start this up.
Which I agree
To
with,
manage
but
it.
you need someone that can take the ball and there just wasn't someone, I agree with the chairman that if you don't have someone to be the point person that can pour that kind of time into it, I was afraid it would fizzle. But we do have someone, that is going to be the point of contact that we can work with to help us take that lead. If the board wants to proceed with it, which we did not have in December.
Is this young man?
It is. We can
Introduction.
introduce him.
Yes.
I have a issue with, rejecting the bid that we went out for and we ranked them.
Right.
I mean, whether we start in 3 months or 1 month, I mean, we can control that, right? We don't need to reject these bids.
If they are willing to work with our timeline,
Well,
then
no,
sure.
then we do it.
How about the price? Is the price gonna be the same 3 months later? Because inflation is gonna be a lot more different. I mean, that price might not be the same. Did it have a 90-day or 120 on it? You know?
Yeah, so if you do approve it, we can take it back to I think it's the Huddle Up group,
And negotiate that.
and make sure they're
I'll offer
on
a
board with
motion,
it.
I'll offer a
confirm.
motion that we go ahead and approve the grade ranking and, direct staff to sit down with Huddle Up and see if their price proposal is still in play, and, let's move this process forward.
Second.
Okay, you got a motion by Commissioner Donifro, a second by Commissioner Fay. All those in favor, raise your right hand. I'm voting against it, 4-1.
So the next item I have is, whether or not we want, I should say discussion of whether or not to issue an RFP to replace the roof in the Endeavor warehouse. It's roughly 9,300 square feet. It's as a map in your project books. On the next page, you can see what the warehouse is. The building is structurally sound, and we've had some people interested in it, but the investment to put a roof on it first is a little bit too much for them. So RFP would allow us to see what the actual costs and hard numbers would be if we wanted to do it ourselves and increase the marketability of the
Need to
building.
get a roof on it.
Yeah, did we get insurance money for that building or we spent all the
Yes.
insurance money somewhere else?
All right, so first of all, they had a group of insurance, it was like 800 some thousand. You chose what we spent it on. The little
Okay.
balance went to getting water lines and stuff that are still.
Unfortunately, one sheet of 10 will
Isn't that
save the
right?
roof. Right,
So how much?
And I'm assuming
We
we're
don't
looking
have
at
a
a cost
price.
of roughly 100,000 to 140,000 to put a roof on it. I mean, if you looked at it, I'm just
what size of the
guesstimating
building?
$10 to $15 a square foot.
So we did get a price proposal back around $250,000.
Quarter?
Yes,
So the request is to go out for
But we did-
RFP.
Who was that from?
that was from Garland.
Garland is very expensive. And we can get a better price like that. Brian Kent was out there in the audience. I'm sure they could probably best it.
What
There's a
type
number of
roof
roofing
proposal?
contractors. out
Standing
here.
seam or what?
yeah.
$250,000, I mean,
Mr. Chairman.
So that's why the kind of the thought
Let's
process
go
behind
out for
RFP would be to let them give us the options and let them provide the drawings and everything as part of their bid package.
Commissioner
As
Fay.
opposed to.
I make
yeah.
a motion to go out for RFP on the Endeavor warehouse roof.
Got a motion by Commissioner Fake, second by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Question though, just for clarification. So we're going out for an RFP. Is that being run through Garland?
No, sir.
Okay, so any roofing contractor to put together.
Right.
Okay. Ms. Garland.
Good morning. I come to you as myself.
All right.
This first item is for board approval of TDC sponsorship for the Premier Bulls Tour. They're requesting $10,000 in TDC sponsorship funds to be used for their Premier Bulls Tour Clash of the States, scheduled for April 8th and 9th of 2022 at the Jackson County Ag Center. This is the second event for this group to be held in Jackson County.
Commissioner Hill.
My question is, we got three of them on here. Is this a request of their funds that they want, or is that just how much they allot, the TDC allotted?
That's how much the TDC board approved of their original request.
And the reason I'm concerned about that, we got three of them and we're splitting 20,000 between, and 10 of it's going to one
So
of them.
just so that you all know the board rationale, they looked at the Premier Bull event because it had been done previously and had been successful. And so they got a higher portion of how they split those funds based on already having one successful event in Jackson County.
I sit on that board and I voted against this. I didn't agree with their logic. I think,
Is it just because they had history here, from your standpoint, they had history based on number of people in attendance, amount of money?
They did.
Impact, local impact?
They requested $43,250. So, and last year they were given $18,800. So
right.
the theory of the board is to scale them back.
Right.
So
Well, this one, they requested how much?
43,000
43,
was
then
on-
one's 85 and one's 16.
And not all of the items that they request are always applicable, even though we provide them with a list of items that can be funded. Sometimes they request things that we would not have funded as a board.
But Circle D has put on rodeos here all my life, and they're successful. So the logic that they were applying, these people, and they said they put on like 21 rodeos, and they listed Arcadia and Georgia. That's all they listed.
So that's the reason why the per ratio amounts of money.
That's what they said, but you know, I
But
think
there-
the better.
if you
Just trying to be
was
fair.
successful-
That's what we're trying to look at, trying to be fair with the equity between three of them. You got three of them gonna be here in the time frame. I mean, and the reason I'm saying that, I would come back next year and ask for $10,000 from all of them. I mean, if I was them, if one got it, but I don't know.
Well, obviously, they looked at the 18,000, they came back 43. And the other ones looked, and they came in at 85. And then Circle D was 16.
So what was your recommendation? Recommendation since you sit on that board?
I would recommend that we split the 20. Split 20 between the three.
Well, I go back to, and I served on that board for a long time. I was chairman of that board for probably 10 years straight. And I always got very frustrated when I came to this board, and none of you were on that board at the time, but, we sat as a committee and vetted each one of those, and Chairman Pate was on it, and several times, Mr. Pate was on it several times, and we vetted each one of those events and had thorough discussions about those. And it's very frustrating when we bring a recommendation back to a board and without clear-cut reason not to go along with the recommendation. So.
Yeah, and I guess that's the baseline for my question was, what all parameters did they use? I mean, if they're getting 10,000, they bought 3,000 people. The other one only bought, 8,500, and they only bought 2,000. I can see the rationale because the impact financially is an investment to us to bring more people. So I just didn't want it disproportionately allotted based upon some numbers. And those numbers.
Hopefully that committee is still having those discussions. I mean, we were sitting on it, so I don't know whether they are or not. But in the time that I was on it, we would spend 3 hours at those meetings. They went on too long, but it was because we discussed thoroughly each one of the events and made what I thought were good decisions.
Okay. But
So, Mr. Chairman, you don't feel like the economic impact won't be strong enough for us to support this?
I think we should support it. One of the things I picked up on that all three of them are requesting is bleacher rental. I think we need, TDC, we need to look at buying the bleachers.
So just to give you an update on that, AJ, they had already bought some additional bleachers and he did get us a quote to add some additional bleachers because of events like this. There hasn't always been the need for additional seating out at the outside arenas. And so that is something and an option that we can look at that would reduce the cost that they were asking from each of these. types
And they're
of events.
looking for, they're having to rent equipment, pens and stuff to set up to run the livestock into the arena. Those are the type of things that long-term we need to look at. But I think that when you have local companies that are paying taxes, ad valorem taxes, living here, operating here, then they should be treated equally as well, because there's not enough information to convince me that any of them's gonna put a head in the bid. I mean,
I see the impact studies that they've done, and it says around 7,000.
but who did it?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, I hope they derive those numbers.
You
from
have
something besides
to-
WAG, but
Yeah,
the other one is 1,750. So I mean, that's, again, that would prove to me if those numbers are.
And they do. So in
To
order
prove
to
that
be
it is
paid out, they
marketed
have to
to you.
present the information that's required in that grant sponsorship. So for last year, they did sufficiently justify the $18,000 that was given to them. So
took them a while to do it, but
Matter of fact, that request came to the board because they were capped when they.
they
were
didn't get
supposed to
18
turn
because
their-
they came up short, didn't they?
I just remember it coming to the board because they didn't turn in their stuff on time.
It's very difficult to determine whether or not you're putting heads in the bed. I mean, very, very difficult. So I just think that is certainly one of the caveats that needs to be considered, but when you've got the locals involved, I think that they should be treated fairly.
Well, let me ask you this. Y'all don't ask them where do they get these numbers from? I mean, like, again, the one that's asking for the least amount of money is saying they don't put it fully in 1,500 adults and 500 youth. So they have no way to, that's just.
Ask her.
Oh, I'm sorry.
they do that based on information that they have available, either individuals that they are
Sure.
bringing with them, events like that. So they do some polling and get that kind of information.
Well, they should
So-
be able to pull them from the ticket sales. I mean,
Well, for one like Premier Bulls, they do. So that's why I said part of that is what we request from them to validate those numbers. But for somebody like Elite, I mean, we've never done business with them, so we can't validate what numbers they're bringing. But I'm sure the Circle D or whatever,
Yeah.
Big Dog is what they're called now, are using what they have historically been able to bring to the table.
I mean, again, I don't mind supporting all three of them, and I hope that we do. I just like to know that if there's disproportionate on the same level, all bull riding in this situation, that some type of valid information, that when you might can help us with that. But I just like to know that we're investing, our return on our investment is shown in the numbers that's brought. So those numbers that's brought are, everybody knows they don't eat here, sleep here, gas here, shop at Walmart and other vendors. So I mean, that's why I think. You have something?
Ms. Wendy wants to say something.
I'd just like to share, of course, we want all these groups to come in, but Premier Bulls to date has not applied for their temporary use permit. We did have a little trouble with them last year. And so all three on the agenda today need to apply for those permits. They should have applied already, Premier Bulls, since, the date's in April. So just wondering.
So are they aware of that?
They did last year and they were late getting their stuff to us.
Can you tell me why they need to have a temporary, whatever you just said, since they're renting our building? Just, we'll know, because I don't understand that.
At the moment, it's in the ordinance to do so. We are going to be working on bringing changes to that to you, but at this time, that's the way it's written.
I mean, if they're gonna rent our buildings, I don't see why we should have a
Because
temporary.
they're for profit also, I think has something to do with it, and to make sure they have their liability insurance.
That should be in the rental thing though, when we do it
Yeah.
with the ag center, all that should be.
We're going to
should
be
prove it.
working on that very soon.
All right. So where are we?
I mean, motion
to approve it or?
tonight. I mean, I'll make it.
You said about hard to prove, all of that's hard to.
Oh,
prove.
absolutely.
It's the bid,
Well,
so
again, let me ask you.
You're gonna have a hard
Should
time on
we
that
require
media.
that from now on? I mean, it's just hard, and I'm sure the board that y'all two have served on it, you served 2, 3 of the 5 of us. There needs to be some measurable metric that says, okay, justify your money, because I can fill out any of these paperwork with a 5th grader, and they can come up with numbers somewhere in the air that may become on the county commissioner's agenda. I just want something that says we spend $10,000, we get X. We spend $3,000 and we get X. And I think that just helps us not look like we're being, because almost, I mean, that was my first inclination. Why the disparity between the 3 on 3 events? So if they can prove that, I'd love to see that.
I will. Go ahead, Carl.
No, I was just gonna say that just using Premier Bulls as an example, they did a small sampling and requested like a name and email address. And then after the event, they were followed up with via email, and they provided the hotel that they stayed in. They provided the, I guess
Sure,
some
that's good.
receipts for tracking, but that was after an event. So for somebody who has not been to
Yeah,
Jackson
you're
County
gambling
before,
with them.
you-
You
that
don't
is
know.
a
That's
gamble.
right.
And
And
so
I
I
agree.
just want to make sure that that's
I think
clear.
the ticket sales is gonna be the best thing. Just require them to show us, not in the dollar value, I care less about the value of the ticket, that's their information. But I would love to see the number of people, because then you can do a multiple of that. I mean, there's probably a common denominator on how much people spend in the general area, so.
I think basically what we're gonna wind up covering is gonna be advertising and that type of stuff.
This comes
What
out
you're-
TDC
That's all
money.
we're gonna be able
And
to
you'll
cover.
see that, like, I'm skipping, but with the Southern Lights, I mean, that's all they asked for is true advertising, marketing funding. So that is a big portion of what we do and what they're using these funds
And
for.
another metric that you can use, and I'm maybe speaking a little out of turn because I don't know factually, but I think if you look holistically at, basically the amount of dollars that are coming into the county from that program, you've seen a consistent rise. And I know that there's some things like the hurricane that has impacted that beyond this, but the more that we can get Jackson County's name out there through advertising events and bringing people in, even if they don't stay here for a night, they're coming in. If they like what they see, they may come back again. So it's,
Right, I've heard that with this post-COVID surge, I'm calling it, bring
Well,
people here.
A lot of our heads from in the bid type thing. I-10.
oh, sure.
You close I-10, you'll see that number. Go, whoop.
Oh, no doubt.
I think to be fair, I'll make a motion for this year. Now, the other 2, I mean, just to clarify, the other 2 have not established a record year, correct?
That is correct. It
Not
would be the-
true.
So,
Not true. Circle D.
Oh,
been there
I'm
since
sorry,
I was a
Yeah,
kid.
but have they done it? through
At the
TDC?
Ag Center for the TV.
They haven't
okay, I
done,
got, that's right.
they've had their rodeo here.
So I'd like to see their, and they're asking for the, because they do have a long history. I was just thinking about the
They've been
name.
here longer than any.
Right, but has that been their name the whole time? I just always know. it as
Circle D has
City.
been there for.
No, I know, but I didn't know as far as that name.
So what's your motion?
I'm very hesitant on giving someone 30, what's that third option on the third vendor, 30? What was that last one?
No, no.
10,000 would be for the Premier Bulls, and the other 2 Elite and Big Dog would be $5,000 each, $20,000 each.
3 different events.
3 different. events.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
My thinking is combine it, split it.
I'll offer a motion, unless you're getting ready to. I'll offer a motion to go along with the TDC's recommendation to give $10,000 to Premier Bulls. Can we take all 3 of them in one motion? Danielle?
Yeah.
And 5,000 to, we'll have to go along with TDC's recommendation on all 3 of those events.
I second that.
Okay, you got a motion by Commissioner Donifro, second
I
by
got a question.
Commissioner McKinney, and a question by Commissioner Hill.
Can the board raise those last 2 to 7,500 for the last 2?
Yes, their money, but we control it. We can raise it
Board's
to
done
10.
it before.
I mean, I don't,
Well, what is their budget? I know, but
They
what
got-
is the plans for the budget? Just throwing that out.
They-
there, 'cause I've said on it, you've said on it.
yeah, I have, I don't know. And again, Paul said it very eloquently a while ago, just some of those boards do, they spend a lot of their volunteer time to do this. I'm not trying to oppose them.
They have plenty of money.
But you're not
They-
looking at everything.
That's right.
They can buy, they can buy the
We did roll over
bleachers.
a lot more than what they thought, so I mean,
Yeah.
they're.
It would be a simple process of shuffling money.
Well, we can come back later. I'm fine. I'll go along. To me, I'll speak for me. I'll go along with this one this time, but if I find out in a couple, 3 weeks, I might talk to the board over there to see if they want to increase that. We can always come back and give them more
Right.
now and then if information comes available.
So, yeah, there's a motion and a second.
All right, we got a motion. Any more questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. 4-1, I'm voting against it.
Will call and ask, the one that does have a is it by now, that's my question a while ago. Circle D Ranch is all I've ever heard it called. I've never heard it called
I
anything else.
me either, but.
So
Big
if
Dog
they-
is
if
what
they
we're
don't-
doing.
I have.
Right, and so if
Yeah,
they
they've
have
been there.
any kind of numbers, if that name, or I don't care what name it is, they have an established name here. If they can prove some numbers, which I know they can, like, God, he's older than God, but I know they've been here as long as I have. So if they have some type of, a record, just to kind of show what kind of audience they draw, that'd be good.
But they don't
They
have
draw.
a TDC record. is the
That's right,
thing.
but I know
They've
they're
never
like-
got
right.
money, I guess, from us.
That is correct.
Okay, you're very good.
That's
Matt, yeah.
That's Matt Junior's son. Little Matt's
After
son.
this year, they will have.
Yeah, that's right.
But they, I mean, times I've been out there, there'd be 500-600 people.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I
don't
mean,
doubt
the
it.
bleachers are
I hope
filled.
they still come. They have one at work.
Oh, yeah. All right, Ms. Garland.
I have one more item. So the last one is the TDC sponsorship for the Southern Lights production. They're requesting $5,000 in TDC sponsorship funds to be used for advertising and promoting of their event, Search for a Star, scheduled July 7th through 9th of 2022.
So,
We got a motion by Commissioner McKinney, second by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
I'll also
Motion
say
carries
I've heard-
5-0.
I've heard good things. This is, I think it's the second
This
year
is their
that you've done
second,
this.
this is their second event.
Second year here at Chipola, and I've heard good things about it, so, I've had a lot of people say that it's, really
Still
good.
held at
Good
Chipola.
job.
Yep.
I'll get it in a minute.
Do what?
I just wonder who's second the motion on the floor.
50 seconds. Let me see.
McKinney.
Yeah,
Oh, you said the most.
McKinney.
On
Oh, yeah, on the
On the-
bull.
All right.
on the
Yeah,
Bulls.
on the bull, that's second.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure. Okay, very good.
Have you had a second on that?
On the-
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Where are
I don't know.
Community development.
we? Yeah, it looks like community development. Did we do the,
We jumped around.
yes, we jumped around.
So much
We're
for
almost
approving
there.
the agenda at the beginning.
Do what, Marie?
From Michelle,
Yeah,
that's where we are.
that's what I thought.
Good job.
Section 2, Michelle.
So you have before you the final invoice from the Baker Donaldson firm for their work regarding the FEMA arbitration. It came in a little bit higher than what they had originally estimated. The engagement letter was estimated 50 to 75,000. The invoice is for 119,000. I've reviewed the invoice. I don't think that their hours are exorbitant.
Why the difference? I mean, we give a block of 25, I mean,
Do you want the nice answer or do you want Michelle answer?
I just want to answer. I mean.
Your
that's-
consultants did a really crap job and there was a lot more cleanup than we had anticipated.
So we're over 50 almost.
All right,
It certainly be a lot easier to swallow if we get the decision that we want.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we'll have some heartburn.
all right. So you're requesting approval.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion?
I'm motion. So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Have we addressed that, Michelle?
What's that?
Is that with our consultant?
I haven't had any communications with them.
All right, I think we're moving along to community development. Ms. Amber?
Great, this is board approval to set a public hearing to extend a development agreement for Power South. They're asking for an 18-month extension. And we're setting the public hearing for the next Board of County Commission meeting on March 22nd, 2022 at 6:15.
Got a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, the next one is board approval to set a public hearing for a small scale amendment.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner McKinney. Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
The last one is board approval for a temporary use permit for Loomis Brothers Circle.
Got a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Wendy?
Thank you, Commissioner. Requesting board approval to reappoint District 3 Planning Commissioner, Ms. Jan Collar, for an additional
Okay.
3 years.
Got a motion by,
I'll make a motion, and I'd like to, well, go ahead.
No, your motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to reappoint Ms. Pollard to the board, and also recognize the fact that she served on that board for a long, long time and has been very instrumental and very active and a very good member. And we appreciate your time and effort serving on that board as a volunteer member.
okay, got a motion by Commissioner Donifro, second by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
All right. We finally got through that. Now, Mr. Bassford, do you have anything from the Sheriff's Department? No, sir. Michelle? Luann?
I don't have anything, but we were going to give Chief Bruner an opportunity to just speak to the status of fires in general, if you all wanted to hear from him.
Sure.
I didn't do that while
Yeah, we need to have about a 2-minute prayer for rain.
Just wanted to bring just some update about the wildfires going on in Bay County. I've been speaking with Bay County Emergency Services officials. On Friday, we were asked for a local mutual aid. They started battling these fires. The original fire was the Atkins Avenue fire near Springfield. That was the main concern. We went under a local mutual aid that started around 10 o'clock Friday morning. We had crews down there till about midnight. Most of us came back around midnight Friday night with one crew staying overnight until they were released Saturday morning. Of course, CFO Petronas was there along with Kevin Guthrie with DEM. Governor DeSantis opened the way to state resources and federal resources. They brought in strike teams from all the way to Collier County, as well as all of the state forestry assets and their National Guard. Adjacent to that was the Bertha Road swamp fire that has burned now into Calhoun County and Bay County. That's forcing the evacuations. And then we had crews go back Saturday. We also were joined by crews from Delwood Volunteer Fire Department, Compass Lake Volunteer Fire Department, Malone, Baskin Volunteer Fire Department, and the City of Mariana. Emergency Services Bay County was hesitant about using the majority of our resources because we have a large area to cover, as you all know, and we have similar weather conditions and fire conditions. So we wanted to be delicate in pulling those resources based on our call volume and the type until they could get some infrastructure in place down there to help them out. To date, they have grouped all these fires together now. The Bertha Swamp Road fire is now over 28,000 acres, primarily in Calhoun County. And they're looking at multiple evacuations in the Broad Branch and Kynard area of Calhoun County, moving up towards Frink today. Also in the Bear Creek and Youngstown area in Bay County. On Sunday, another fire sparked, and we were called upon for EMS mutual aid to evacuate the Sims State Veteran Nursing Home in Springfield that houses the nursing home, if you're not familiar, houses only veterans of U.S. wars. We were en route with 2 ambulances and staff from off duty, as well as this ambulance from Gadsden County came. We reached out to other counties. They were able to successfully get those residents out. While that was going on, the city of Marianna and Delwood had fire units there providing structural protection to that nursing home. And so that all worked out great. There were no structures lost on Sunday. We have had a lot of 911 calls to the 911 center on Sunday, and that's why we started pushing out some information, primarily in the Alford and Compass Lake areas about falling ash. That poses no risk due to the distance to the constituents and the citizens living in the southern portion of Jackson County. There's a lot of smoke and haze as well. As the winds change directions, we got a lot of reports from the Grand Ridge and Sneads area late yesterday afternoon, because we do have the burn ban. People were worried about other people were burning. However, we've not found that to be the case. We only had one case on Saturday that somebody inadvertently had a fire, and that was quickly managed by Cottondale, Campbellton, our crews, Alford, and Florida Forest Service. Keith Max and I and Renee are working on pushing some information out to encourage citizens to sign up for Alert Jackson in the event that we experience some similar type incidents. We hope we don't. And we're also asking people to review wildfire preparedness for their homes, and in the event that evacuation would need to take place if we had some type of similar incident. So we don't have any other crews today. Compass Lake did assist yesterday, but they have a lot of assets from the Air National Guard and the strike teams that are rotating in. So we've kind of backed off. They want to let our local people rest and maintain our own counties. Of course, we'll be following the Florida Forest Service recommendation based on the amount of rainfall. We're expecting 4 to 6 inches locally, but we need to make sure that that's widespread throughout the county before we actually lift that ban. So there's a lot of fuel on the ground. You guys are fully aware of that, but the amount of heat may not be overcome by the amount of rainfall. So we just need to be delicate when we and mindful of that before we lift that, because the BTUs might overpower the rain. So, but that's all I've got. Our crews did an incredible job helping out. We came together as one with the volunteers, and they've offered their support that they can in their own hours. They're not getting paid. So I did have a chance to speak with CFO Petronas and kind of reiterate our position in Jackson County. There's a lot of fuel still on the ground here. We do have a lot of homes that are embedded in rural areas with downed trees. And so that is the same potential that Bay County has. We have the same similar, we're in the same situation, same boat. There's no difference other than the imaginary county line that's drawn between our two counties. And so any help that we could get with this down debris on this private property, from being the state fire marshal side, beaking up monies and grant opportunities available for fire equipment and apparatus. Of course, that's what Bay County is struggling with. A lot of land and not enough assets to cover the land and the fire. So anyways, he was very receptive to that, and he understands, and he plans on trying to come after this crisis is over and maybe get a tour of some areas in you guys' districts that we know could pose a huge threat and risk to our county. So, but anyways, if anybody has any questions,
Thank all y'all.
yeah, we appreciate y'all's support. So
We had a couple of fires that Friday,
Yeah, they've had
Saturday.
yes, sir.
call volume significantly went up.
Yes, sir. We're about double what we normally do.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Len, you have anything else?
I do not.
Paul?
Yeah, just one question, and I've had recently several calls with the increased traffic on Caverns Highway. Is Caverns Highway a state road or is that a county road?
State.
State road. Well, I've had requests for us to look at putting a light at the intersection of Meadowview Road, and I'm sure it's probably come up before, but with the increased traffic coming from the school on that road, anybody that lives on Meadowview has a hard time getting out at the top of that hill, and it is a dangerous intersection. I guess the question is have we posed that to DOT in the past?
It's gotta meet I think it's 9 requirements. But we can ask for a review.
Is it been since the the new K-8 school was
And they
opened up?
knew it was happening. I'm sure a lot of them
Right.
wrote, but now that's a bad intersection.
That is a bad
But I don't know if it'll warrant,
There
How-
was.
How do we forward that request to
Get
FDOT?
Jambo to call the district
yeah.
rep for this thing, right?
Register, can you handle that? Appreciate it.
There was actually a study done
Traffic.
on,
They'll do a traffic study and it's gotta meet.
Old
the
US
9
Road.
One of the 9 requirements.
when we put the Dollar General in.
I mean, we fought for, they're at Love's Truck Stop. Now they're gonna do some things, but there for a long time, they said it didn't want.
This,
Alfred's got the same situation right now.
it's just where that Meadow View comes out right at the top of the hill, you can't see anything coming up the hill if you're heading, I guess, out east to the south, so it's
It's
just
bad.
a dangerous intersection.
Anything else?
No, sir.
That's nothing.
Mr. Page?
Jambo probably knows more about this, but I want to thank the Holmes County Commission and Administrator David Corbin for helping us on a bridge over in my district coming from Holmes County into Jackson County. They've offered to assist us.
We're working on, we worked on it all day yesterday, and we're working on it right now. They brought inmates out, and they brought.
Inmates.
Yeah, they get inmates in other counties. We don't.
They
But
never lost.
They never lost their inmate?
What?
Already made it.
hey, I've been
Well,
taking
Sneed's has been
pictures.
getting
and
them, so I
sending
was
them
like-
this way.
Anyway, but
Different discussion, I'm
They
making.
brought some inmates, they brought some equipment, like a boat and all that, and, we provided the equipment, like the excavator and stuff like that. Yesterday, we got the cap set back on, so by the time we left yesterday, the bridge was back straight, and it was driving along there, every day, making sure everything's set, just like I want to put the fans and stuff on. So they would have been a great help in teaching us also how these bridges, what we need to do.
Well, it's equally as important to them as it is us. Whose bridge is it? I mean, I don't know that we know. That's another
Okay.
thing that we,
And that was gonna do it for Lee when he was in here, because I thought that Holmes Creek, the natural flow of the creek, would have been the county line. In that particular area right there, there's another small bridge about 75 yards to the west of that. That's their bridge. Ours is big.
anyway, it's equally
I imagine it
important.
was designed that way.
But I want to publicly thank them for their assistance in getting the bridge back.
Right. Which road is that on?
It's Reddick Mill.
Reddick Mill Road?
It's, there's very few that come across Holmes Creek, so it's a main,
Right, there's all that.
Triome Avenue.
Brown, Spruce, and Reddick Mill.
Yep.
And then Tri-County.
Right.
So it's,
Is that it?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Commissioner McKinney?
No, sir, not at this time.
Danielle?
Yes, sir, I have one item. Anderson Columbia has completed the portion of District 3's projects except for Fifth Street that we just added. And they're not gonna be able to do that for a couple of months. They've asked if they could have their retainage from that initial work, in the amount of $46,054.38.
So move it, Chair.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Donifred. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Is that it?
That's all.
Okay, Marie, you have anything? Okay. Gabba, what'd you find out about my stop sign?
reason it hasn't been put up, because those two stop signs are on the list to be replaced by action. And just, we can go ahead and put them up, but I didn't want to put that amount of dollars worth on the top and then take it back.
No, we don't want that.
Right, so that's the reason they haven't. been put
Oh,
up. We
okay,
got
very
them,
good.
But they're on the list to be replaced, so we're gonna let them replace. them.
Once they go through, we'll take those, theirs down and put ours up,
Right.
okay? Red, let's talk about the mill pond.
One of my favorite subjects.
I know it is.
I bet.
Yes, sir.
What about my car?
I'm waiting on the permit to apply to do the approval or do the removal.
Why is it taking so long to get a stinking permit?
Couldn't tell you.
Who's good? Is that through DEP or?
FWC. So it's not, I look for it online just to go ahead and have it and start filling it out. They don't have a removal permit available online. They've got the permit that, they'll allow you to purchase and use them, but
We need to get rid of those so we can get the little ones in.
Yes, sir.
Now's the time of year to drop them, right?
don't disagree. That's right.
So see if you can build a fire under them.
Okay, I've been working on it in this exact meeting, as a matter of fact.
What about the spraying?
We just got our herbicide delivered Friday. FWC is gonna be picking that up and taking it to their warehouse so their contractor can pick it up and should be on track to spray this month.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Just stay on it. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank some of our employees. I had the opportunity to sit in on the arbitration. I think it went well, but you never know when you're dealing with one judge, but when you're dealing with three, you certainly don't know what you're going to get. Same thing with the jury. But I thought the attorneys we hired did an outstanding job. Thank you, Michelle, for recommending those. If we'd gone with the consultants, they'd have had our lunch. So I think when you're dealing with that amount of money, it's imperative that the county put the best foot forward. And I think we made the right decision to go with these attorneys. They're very good. And if we ever need them in the future, I would not hesitate to recommend them to anyone. We had some of our employees who testified during the hearing. I thought they did an outstanding job. Ms. Willan was one of them. We had Robert Douthit. He did a great job. Let's see who else. Robert.
Then Joseph and Natasha.
They're not our employees.
Right. That was on
Then we had, Joseph Alday and Natasha Phillips. They did a very good job. So all in all, I think we put our best foot forward. And we just have to wait and see what happens. If we prevail, it's great. If we lose, we march forward and we take a different course of action. We cannot appeal this decision. It's final, right, Michelle?
It's final.
So
60 days, did y'all say 60 days possibility of doing something?
Expected ruling within 60 days.
within 60 days, they expect to rule on it. So we just have to wait and see.
And the support staff that got all
The
the
support,
information.
we had Hunter Potts did a lot of research. Carrie was invaluable in the research she did. Yeah, but make sure you tell her we said thank you. And make sure you convey to Robert that we thank him. They both, even though they were behind the scenes, they were a very integral part of this. And we appreciate all their hard work. Any comments from anyone?
I agree with everything you said.
And whoever